Hey friends, tonight we slow everything down. The lights dim, the noise fades. The sky outside has turned the color of quiet. Your body, your breath, your spirit. They've been carrying so much, haven't they? You've moved through this day with grace that may have gone unnoticed. Kindness that didn't echo back. Thoughtfulness that maybe no one named. But still, you offered it. Quietly. Faithfully. You may not even realize how much love you've given away today in words, in pauses, in presence. But heaven saw every moment. And now, you're here. With a tired heart and a soul that maybe just needs to be reminded what you did mattered. You probably can't fix everything tonight. You can't tie up all the loose ends or answer every silent question someone left in your care. But you can rest. You can exhale. You can let yourself be gently loved back. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you feel up to it, I'd love for you to comment your name and how you're feeling tonight. This is more than a video, it's a prayer space. And your heart is welcome here. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's prayer together. You've done more than you realize. You've loved in moments when no one asked you to. You've helped someone without needing a spotlight. You've carried small burdens for others, a chore, a reminder, a kind word in the middle of someone else's mess. You don't do it for praise. You just do it. Because love to you has always meant giving quietly. But still, sometimes it feels invisible. And that ache, the ache of being unseen, can weigh heavier than the love itself. So tonight, let's begin there. With your invisible kindness. With your silent service. With the little choices you've made to love someone else. Even when it cost you energy, time, comfort, or space. God saw that. Every single act. Not just the big gestures, but the hidden ones. The ones no one clapped for. The ones you talked yourself out of needing credit for. The ones you gave out of love. And then tucked away like a secret between your heart and God's. He saw them. And He sees you. Scripture says your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And that's not about karma or some grand divine scorecard. It's about intimacy. It's about the way God draws close when no one else does. How He notices the bent neck, the gentle touch, the tear you held back for the sake of someone else's peace. So right now, breathe. Breathe in the truth that nothing you've done in love was wasted. And breathe out the lie that says, if no one notices, it doesn't matter. It does. It mattered to God. And it mattered to the people you touched, even if they never said it. You've been planting seeds in soil you may never see bloom. And that kind of love is not only brave, it's sacred. So tonight, let your soul be seen. You don't have to work to be worthy here. You don't have to prove that your love was enough. It already was. You breathe again slower now. And as you do, imagine the Father smiling softly over you. Not because you earned it, but because you're His. And He is still whispering thank you, beloved, for the quiet ways you love. I see it all. Now let me love you back. So you breathe. And let God hold the quiet kindness you gave away today. 2. You love in small, faithful ways. Not every act of love looks like a grand gesture. Sometimes, it's the gentle tone in your voice when you're tired. The way you refill the coffee pot so no one wakes up to an empty carafe. The pause before replying, when you choose grace over irritation. The smile you give even when your heart is aching just beneath it. These are the small mercies, the kind that ripple through people's lives without them ever knowing the source. And they are beautiful. They may feel ordinary, even automatic. But they're not. Each of those moments is a seed. Each one a soft yes to compassion, to kindness, to God's Spirit moving quietly through your day. The world won't give awards for things like this. There are no headlines for patience, no ceremonies for staying soft in a hard conversation, no spotlights for remembering someone's favorite snack or praying for a friend who never asked. But heaven keeps track of these things, because small doesn't mean unimportant. Jesus said, whoever is faithful in little will also be faithful in much. And you've been faithful in little not for applause, not to earn favor, but because something in your soul has learned to love quietly. And maybe tonight, as you lie here, you're feeling tired of doing the small things that feel like they go unnoticed. That's okay. Even Jesus was overlooked. Even He knew what it meant to wash feet, to love people deeply in the middle of their everyday dust, and not be thanked. So let's pause here and remember, small is sacred. A gentle word, a thoughtful text, a silent prayer, a steady presence. These are not throwaway things. They are the fabric of faithfulness. You've been weaving that fabric thread by thread, moment by moment with no fanfare. And now, you rest. You get to stop weaving for the night and just be wrapped in the comfort of God's covering. He's seen the effort. He's held the tears. He's watched you choose kindness over and over, even when no one acknowledged it. So tonight, let your heart exhale. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're not small in the eyes of the one who knows every hair on your head. You are deeply known and deeply loved. So you whisper, God, I've tried to love well even in small ways. Help me believe it still matters. And he answers, in that steady, gentle voice you've known all along, it matters more than you know. You don't have to keep proving it. You don't have to keep measuring your love. You've already been faithful. So now, you breathe. And let God take your small, quiet offerings and multiply them in ways you'll never fully see. Rest in that. You've done enough for today. Even love without applause is sacred. You know that feeling when you've poured yourself out for someone, given time, energy, emotion, and all you get in return is silence. No acknowledgement. No thank you. Just the hum of life moving on like nothing happened. And something inside you aches a little. Not because you needed a parade, but because your love came from a place so real, so open, that its invisibility feels like a resha. But tonight, you're invited to let that ache settle. Not to fester, but to be soothed by truth. Love doesn't lose its worth just because it goes unseen. It remains holy. The cross wasn't applauded while it was happening. It wasn't admired in the moment. It was misunderstood, resisted, overlooked. And yet, the deepest act of love in all of history was wrapped in silence and rejection. And Jesus still chose it. Still loved anyway. Still stayed. You've done the same. You've chosen love when it didn't echo back. You've stayed when it would have been easier to step away. You've given when no one reached out in return. And that kind of love, the kind without fanfare, carries a fragrance heaven recognizes. You may never know the ripple effect of what you've given. The way a word or a gesture or a quiet decision to stay soft changed the course of someone's day or life. But God knows. And he blesses what no one clapped for. So tonight, in this stillness, let the weight of being unrecognized lift from your chest. You don't have to chase praise. You don't have to wait to be seen before you rest. You already are. Deeply. By the one whose eyes never miss a moment of your heart's offering. So breathe out the tension. Release the question, did it even matter? Yes, it did. It mattered not because someone said thank you, but because it came from love. Real, honest, vulnerable love, the kind that reflects the very heart of God. You didn't do it for attention. But still, you're allowed to grieve when none came. And then, after the grief, you get to be held. By a God who never asks you to pretend it didn't cost you something. So you whisper, I loved the best I could today, Lord. And even if no one saw, I offer it to you. And he receives it like a treasure. Not reluctantly, not out of obligation, but with joy. Because what you did in secret, in silence, in softness was sacred. You can't always trace the fruit, but you can rest in this. Not 1 ounce of love has been wasted. So let go of the need to be noticed tonight, and let yourself be known. Fully, lovingly, quietly. God sees, and his gaze is enough. You carry hearts without anyone knowing. There's a quiet weight you live with, the one that never makes it into conversation, but never quite leaves your chest. It's the weight of caring deeply. For people. For peace. For things no one else seems to notice. You think about your friend's loneliness long after they hang up. You feel the undercurrent in someone's tone and pray for them later. You remember anniversaries of losses that others have mossen. You ask, how are you really? And mean it. You carry hearts, gently, faithfully, invisibly. And some nights, like this one, the invisible part aches. You wonder if anyone notices how deeply you feel. How much space you make for others. How silently you absorb things so they won't have to. But friend, God notices. Not just what you do, but how you feel. He sees the emotional backpack you never take off, the prayers whispered in passing. The compassion that runs beneath your every conversation. He sees how you watch over others like an invisible lighthouse, steady and unseen. There's a verse that says, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. You've done that, not with sermons or stages, but with gentle eyes, listening ears. A presence that says you don't have to go through this alone, even when no one thanked you, even when no one knew what it cost you. So tonight, let your own heart be carried for once. Let the Father take what you've been quietly holding, not to erase your care, but to remind you that you are not responsible for carrying it all. You've stood in the gap long enough. Now let yourself be held in it. Take a breath, a long, honest one, And as you exhale, picture placing those hearts, the ones you've been carrying, into God's hands. One by one. Name them if you want. Whisper their initials. Or simply feel the weight shift. You don't have to stop caring. You just don't have to carry it alone anymore. There's holy rest in surrender. So whisper, God, I've been holding them close. But they're yours too. I trust you with them. And in that moment, something sacred happens. You remember you're not just a caretaker of others. You're a child too. A beloved one. And your heart, the one that carries so many, is being cradled now. Gently. Faithfully. Fully. So let go a little more. Let your own soul breathe. You are held too. You listen when no one listens to you. There's a certain ache that doesn't always have words, the ache of being the safe place for others, while wondering if there's a safe place for you. You've become the one who hears what others don't say out loud. You read between the lines. You stay after the conversation ends, thinking about what they meant but didn't express. You ask the second question when others stop at surface level. And you do it because you care, because love to you means being present, being patient, being open. But sometimes you wish someone would ask you, not just how are you, but how are you holding up? Do you feel heard? Because most days you're pouring into others from a cup that hasn't been refilled. You nod, you affirm, you pray. And when the silence returns, you're left with your own thoughts and the quiet question, is anyone listening to me? Let's be honest here. That question is not selfish, it's human. And tonight, it's safe to ask it. Safe to feel the sting of it. Safe to say, God, I'm tired of always being the one who listens. Because he understands. Jesus listened to the crowds. He listened to the broken and the proud. He listened to people ask for healing, and for answers, and for signs. And sometimes, he went away to be listened to by the Father, to pour out what no one else could hold. You can do that, too. Right here, right now. This is your space. This is where you get to speak without performing. This is where God leans in, not out of duty, but desire. He longs to hear your heart, even the messy, tired, unfiltered parts. He doesn't just tolerate your words, he treasures them. So whisper, or don't. Think quietly. Breathe deeply. And know that the one who made your voice is listening fully, lovingly, endlessly. You are not unheard. Not here, not now, not ever. So tonight, let your inner world rise to the surface. Let the words come that you usually swallow. Let the tears fall that you usually blink back. And let God hold them. Every sentence, every silence, every sigh. You are safe to be poured into, too. You are worthy of being listened to. You matter, not because you are useful, but because you are you. So you breathe. And you say, maybe for the first time in a while, God, I need to be heard. And heaven answers with presence, not noise. God listens. And in that listening, healing begins. When your love looks like patience, some kinds of love feel tender, an immediate hug, a warm word, a surprise kindness. But then there's the slow kind, the long kind, the kind of love that waits quietly in the background, that keeps showing up when things don't change, that keeps hoping when no one else does. You know that kind, because you've lived it. You've been patient with people who are hard to love, not because it's easy, but because you've chosen to see their pain through God's eyes. You've stayed gentle in seasons that asked everything of you. You've believed the best, even when disappointment lingered nearby. You've kept praying for someone who still hasn't turned around, still hasn't come home, still hasn't said sorry. And in all of that, your love has not been passive. It's been powerful. There's a verse that says, love is patient. You've been loving. So tonight, let's pause and on what that costs. Because patience is hard, especially when it looks like nothing is changing. Especially when it's misunderstood as weakness or avoidance or silence. But patience real. Holy patience is a quiet surrender. It says, I trust you, God, even here. Even now, and you've been doing that, haven't you? Trusting when it's hard. Holding space when it feels empty. Loving someone not for who they are today, but for who they're becoming, even if they don't see it yet. That's not small. That's not invisible. That's love in its most Christ-like form. So you breathe. You unclench the hope that's growing tired. You release the pressure to speed things up, and you rest. Because your patience is not wasted. God is working in ways you cannot see even as you wait. He is growing things underground. Quiet things. Sacred things. Things your heart has been nurturing with every soft yes, every long pause, every tearful prayer. And just like a tree planted by water, your love, though quiet, is rooted deep. So let that be enough tonight. Let the waiting be worship. Let the stillness be surrender. You're not failing because it still hurts. You're not weak because it's taking time. You are loving, patiently, courageously, beautifully. And God sees. So you whisper, Lord, I don't always see the fruit, but I trust you with the roots. And in return, you are met with the peace of a God who is never in a rush with healing, never hurried with hearts, never late. So rest. Your love has gone further than you know, and heaven is still holding it close. Your forgiveness has cost something. You've chosen to forgive more than once, and more than most people know. Not because it was easy, not because the pain disappeared, but because you wanted to love like Jesus. Because bitterness didn't sit well in your spirit. Because holding on to the hurt was hurting you more. But even forgiveness done from the heart costs something. It's not free. It takes a toll, emotional, spiritual, sometimes physical. You've laid things down that others would have clung to. You've released people who never apologized, who never even noticed the depth of the wound. You've said, it's okay, even when it wasn't, not because you lied, but because you decided to let peace win over pride. And tonight, God sees that. He doesn't just notice the act. He honors the weight behind it. Forgiveness is holy. It's the soft echo of the cross, replaying in your daily life, every time you choose to love instead of resent, to release instead of retaliate. That kind of love leaves a mark. But it also opens a door, a sacred space where God steps in, gently, silently, faithfully. So tonight, let Him step into the space where forgiveness cost you something. Let Him tend to the places you tried to ignore, the ache that lingered even after you let go. You're allowed to feel both free and tender. You're allowed to grieve what was lost, even as you celebrate what was released. God never asks you to skip over your pain to get to peace. He walks you through it. He knows that real forgiveness feels like surrender. It feels like an open hand. It feels like breathing through the memory and choosing again and again not to be ruled by it. That's what you've done. And that matters. So breathe now. Let the Father tend to the scar. Let Him pour in comfort where no one else could. You didn't have to forgive, but you did. You chose love, even when it cost you. And tonight God chooses to comfort the part of you that quietly bore that cost. He whispers, I saw what they didn't. I honor what they forgot. You're not alone in this. So you let yourself soften. Let the pressure to be over it dissolve. Let your soul know it's okay to still be healing, even after you've forgiven. You don't have to be perfect to be free. You just have to be honest. And here, in the stillness, your honesty is safe. So rest, sweet soul. You've let go so bravely. Now let yourself be held. You pray for others and forget yourself. It's almost instinct now to think of someone and pray. To lift up burdens that aren't yours. To whisper names in the dark. Asking God to bring peace. To bring healing. To show up for the ones who don't even know they're being prayed for. And you do it quietly. You don't post about it. You don't tell them. You just carry their names in your heart like candles, keeping the flame alive when theirs feels like it's going out. It's beautiful. And exhausting. Because somewhere in that rhythm of loving others through prayer, you've started to leave yourself out. You forget that your name belongs there too. You forget that the same compassion you pour over others was meant for you. But God hasn't forgotten. Tonight, He turns His full attention toward you. Not the people you're holding. Not the outcomes you're praying into. Not the situations you're surrendering. Just you, your soul, your needs, your dreams, your wounds. He sees the way your voice trembles when you pray for someone else's peace, while barely holding on to your own. He hears the faith in your words, even when your own heart feels like it's floating, tired and unsure. He loves how you intercede, how you stand in the gap. But He also misses your voice when it's about you. So tonight, let yourself be prayed for. Let this moment become the space where you remember, you're not just a prayer warrior, you're a beloved child. Let the prayers you've spoken over others be whispered back over you. Let heaven say your name, not in rebuke, not in guilt, but in warmth, in love, in joy. You don't have to earn the right to be cared for. You already are. So breathe. And say softly, God, it's me tonight. I need you too. There's no shame in that. Even Jesus asked for help in Gethsemane. Even He said, stay with me. You can say it too. Stay with me, Lord. See me. Hold me. Restore me. You have loved others well. Now let God love you. Not through your service. Not through your strength. Just as you are right now. Quiet. Tired. Open. His eyes are on you. Not because you've prayed well, but because you're His. So let yourself rest in that. Let yourself be the one who has received, not just the one who gives. You've poured out. Now be poured into. You're not forgotten. You're not too late. You are always welcome here. Always heard. Always held. God saw the kindness you almost didn't offer. There was a moment maybe earlier today, maybe weeks ago, where you almost pulled back. Not because you were unkind, but because you were tired, worn, stretched thin. You hesitated. The kind gesture. The soft reply. The extra step. You stood at that quiet crossroads between self-protection and compassion. And still, you chose love. Maybe no one saw the internal battle. Maybe no one noticed how much it took to stay patient, to smile, to listen one more time. But God did. He saw the resistance and the surrender that followed. He saw the flicker of hesitation and the holy whisper that said, "Choose love anyway." You did. And even if the result didn't bloom into something beautiful, even if your kindness wasn't received, returned, or even acknowledged, it was still sacred. Because it was honest. Because it cost something. Because it happened in the in-between space, where God's grace often meets us not in bold declarations, but in tiny decisions that shift the atmosphere. You've had more of those than you realize. Moments when you could have stayed silent, but you spoke with care. Moments when you wanted to walk away, but stayed a little longer. Moments when your feelings roared, but your spirit whispered, "Peace." That is courage. Not loud, not flashy, but deeply faithful. And tonight God honors it. Not to boost your ego, not to demand more, but to say, "I saw, I see, and I'm proud of you." You didn't have to choose kindness. You were allowed to pause, allowed to protect yourself, but you let love win. And that choice, that flicker of faithfulness, carries far more weight than you know. So now you get to rest. You don't have to keep proving your heart. You don't have to keep pushing past your limits. You're not loved because you got it right. You're loved because you are His. Because you let Him move through you in those in-between moments, even when you didn't feel strong or sure. So you breathe. And you whisper, "God, thank you for meeting me in that hesitation, for guiding me through it, for seeing me." He still sees you now. In this quiet, in your longing to live with tenderness, even when it's hard. In your ache to reflect Him, even when no one claps. Let that truth settle. You don't have to always be strong. You don't have to always get it right. But when you choose love, even after doubt, even after fear, that's where grace breathes. So let it breathe over you tonight. Let God meet you in the in-between, and let Him call your small kindness holy. You're allowed to rest from loving. That sounds strange, doesn't it? Like something you have to give yourself permission for. Because somewhere along the way you may have believed that love never pauses, that if you step back, even for a break, you'll disappoint someone, or worse, become someone you're not. But rest isn't the opposite of love. It's how love lasts. You're allowed to step back for a night, to not be available, to not respond right away, to not fix or offer or hold space for someone else, to just be. You're still loving, even when you're resting. Because love is not measured by constant output, it's measured by your presence, your sincerity, your willingness to return after rest with a heart that's not dry and brittle. Even Jesus stepped away. Even He let the crowds linger in their need while He went to quiet places. Not because He didn't care, but because He did. So tonight, let your body, your heart, your soul believe this truth. You are allowed to be unavailable. You are allowed to turn your attention inward. To receive, not just give. To sleep, not solve. To let the world be held by God while you are still. You've loved faithfully. You've shown up when it was hard. You've poured out more than most people know. And now, you rest. You step out of the role, not forever, but for this sacred pause. You whisper, "God, I've done what I could today. Now I give it all back to you." And He answers, "Thank you, beloved." Let Maine carry the rest. There's no guilt in that. There's no failure in stepping away. Only grace. Grace that says you are still good when you are quiet. Still worthy when you don't reach out. Still loved when you stop holding the weight of someone else's need. You may feel strange at first, resting from the love you've made into a rhythm, but keep breathing. Let it soften you. You are not walking away from love, you are returning to your own soul. Let God meet you here. Let Him refill what's been poured out. Let Him remind you that love also means knowing your limits. You are allowed to pause. And you are still good. So tonight, lie down. Don't rehearse tomorrow's needs. Don't circle around unfinished conversations. Don't plan your next gesture. Just be held, known, valued even in your stillness. especially in your stillness. Love doesn't mean you disappear. You've given so much of yourself. Not just time or attention, but actual pieces of your heart. Your energy, your presence, your warmth. And sometimes, in doing that, you forget there's a you beneath all the giving. You become the one who's always understanding, always adjusting, always available. But slowly, invisibly, something starts to fade. Your needs go unnamed. Your dreams wait in the background. Your voice softens until it's quieter than everyone else's. And you wonder, is this what love requires? Let me say this gently, no. Love doesn't mean vanishing. Love doesn't mean losing yourself so that others can be okay. Jesus gave himself for others, yes. But he also knew who he was, knew when to say no, knew when to step away and be with the Father, not because he didn't care, but because love doesn't erase you, it roots you. You are not more holy when you ignore your own needs. You are not more lovable when you shrink. You don't have to disappear to prove your devotion. You matter too. So tonight, breathe that in. You're allowed to have limits. You're allowed to say I'm tired. To say I need help. To say I need time. That doesn't make you selfish. That makes you whole. God made you with tenderness, with soul-deep desires and boundaries and needs. You weren't designed to be a shadow. You were designed to be a light. And lights don't disappear, they shine from a source that never runs dry. So you whisper, God, help me hold space for others, without losing myself. And his answer is gentle. You were never meant to be love's background. You are my beloved. Let that echo tonight. Let it soften the parts of you that have shrunk. Let it breathe into the places that have stayed quiet too long. You can love well and still take up space. You can give deeply and still ask for something in return. You are allowed to be known, not just needed. You are allowed to be cared for, not just counted on. So you rest. Not in guilt, but in balance. Not in fear, but in freedom. The kind of freedom that says I can love you and still be me. I can give and still protect my soul. I can show up without disappearing. You are not selfish for wanting to be seen. You are sacred, still here, still whole, still held. You are not just what you give. It's easy to forget, isn't it? When your day revolves around pouring out, replying, remembering, reaching, serving, it starts to feel like your value is tied to how much you offer, how available you are, how consistently kind, how quietly dependable. And while love is beautiful, while giving is holy, you are not a machine made to output care. You are a person, a soul, a living, breathing reflection of the heart of God. And that alone, before you lift a finger, before you do one more kind thing, makes you enough. You are not only your kindness, you are not only your empathy, you are not only your help, or your silence, or your patience. You are not only what others see in you. You are who God made you to be, chosen, beloved, whole. Even if you gave nothing today, you would still be precious. Even if you said no, even if you had no words, even if all you did was breathe and cry and hope God is still near, you'd still be his. So tonight, let that identity rise to the surface, not what you do, but who you are. Loved, treasured, known. There's a moment when Jesus is baptized, before his ministry begins, before he heals, before he teaches, before he sacrifices. And the voice of God says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," not because of what he'd done, but because of who he was. You are spoken over with the same love. God is pleased to call you his, not because you're endlessly giving, but because you're his. So breathe that in. Let it loosen the grip of performance. Let it soften the tension in your shoulders. You can stop striving now. You can lie down and still be valuable. You can rest, not as a reward, but as a return to the truth of your being. You are not just what you give. You are a soul worth receiving love, even when your hands are empty. So whisper, God, help me remember I'm yours, not just useful, but beloved. And let that reminder wrap around you like a warm blanket. You've given so much. But tonight, just be held, be restored, be loved for nothing more than the fact that you are. God is loving others through you. Sometimes you wonder, does this even make a difference? The small acts, the quiet care, the way you lean into someone's mess without needing to fix it, just to be near. It's easy to question the impact when the love you give doesn't always bounce back, when it feels like your tenderness disappears into thin air, unnoticed, unacknowledged. But what if it wasn't about you being the source? What if you were simply the vessel? God is loving people through you. He's using your words to soften someone's edge, He's using your pauses to teach someone patience. He's using your compassion to remind someone they still matter. You're not just helping, you're channeling holy care. You don't have to manufacture it, either. You just stay soft, stay open, stay willing. And he flows through that. Jesus said, let your light shine before others. You've been doing that. Not by preaching. Not by drawing attention. But by letting your presence become a safe place. A quiet testimony that love still exists and that it's gentle, not loud. You've loved others in ways that echoed something deeper than you. And maybe they didn't realize it, but their soul did. So tonight, let that give you peace. You're not doing this alone. You never were. Every time you've extended a hand, you were holding his. Every time you spoke kindness, he was in your tone. Every time you waited, served, forgave, God was near. So when you lie awake wondering if your love mattered, remember this. He used you. Not in a way that depleted or erased you, but in a way that multiplied beauty through you. And he will continue. Because your tenderness is fertile ground for his spirit to move. But still you are not a tool. You are not a means to an end. You are a beloved partner in the divine. He doesn't just use you to love others. He loves you as you love. So tonight you get to say thank you, God, for loving people through me. But tonight, will you love me too? And his answer is immediate, full of joy always. I never stopped. Let main pour back into you. You're not just a messenger. You're not just a mirror. You're the recipient too. Let yourself be filled again. Not with tasks or to-dos, but with quiet, healing presence. You're not just giving God's love. You're living in it. He remembers what others forget. You've shown up for people who may never remember the date, who may not recall what you did, or how much of yourself you gave. You've sent that text, cooked that meal, waited patiently, forgiven silently, checked in again, all without needing to be noticed. And most of the time, no one sees the full story. But God does. You're not forgotten by the one who forgets nothing done in love. There's something sacred about knowing that, about realizing you don't have to document every good thing for it to be real. Heaven keeps the record. And it's written not in obligation but in tenderness. Every hidden act, every quiet sacrifice, every unseen moment where you chose love, God remembers. He remembers when others forgot to say thank you. He remembers the effort behind your yes when you wanted to say no. He remembers the night you stayed up praying for someone who never knew. And he's not keeping score in the way humans do, not to reward or punish but to cherish, to honor, to let you know you are seen. Sometimes we want closure. We want the ones we love to realize what we've done for them. We want to feel like it mattered. And it did, even if they don't say it. Because God saw. And he is not unjust. He is not unkind. He remembers. Scripture whispers God is not unjust to forget your work and the love you've shown his name. So tonight, let that sink into the places that ache for acknowledgement. Let it heal the tender spots where forgetfulness left a bruise. You don't need to keep proving what you've given. You don't need to remind people. You don't need to hold on to disappointment. You're remembered by the only one whose memory never fails. So you breathe again. And as you do, you let go of the need to be seen by everyone, and rest in the joy of being known by God. You whisper, God, I trust you to remember the parts of me they forgot. And in return, he surrounds you with presence, not to erase the ache, but to share it. He says, I saw. I see. I will not forget. Let that be enough tonight. Let that be your comfort, your validation, your peace. Because even if no one else recalls the way you've loved, heaven does. And heaven holds it all. You are seen. You are still being loved. Right now in this moment, this breath, this gentle pause, you are not forgotten in the quiet. You are not only what you've done. You are not invisible just because you're silent. You are seen. By a God who does need you to explain your heart to understand it. By a Father who watches not only what your hands have given, but what your heart has carried. By love himself who never stops noticing you, even when you slip into the background. You've poured out so much. And tonight, before you sleep, there's one more thing to remember: you are still being loved. Not just remembered fondly. Not just acknowledged with a whisper of appreciation, but actively, fully, presently loved. God's love isn't delayed or distant. It's here. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't need you to be fixed or joyful or full of faith. It just comes like breath. Like stillness. Like warmth under the weight of your covers. And it finds you. Right here. In the space where you usually make room for others, now God makes room for you. You've spent so many days loving quietly. Now let yourself be loved openly by the one who never needed you to perform. You are not just a channel of his kindness. You are the recipient. You are not just a mirror of his grace. You are the treasure. So tonight, let him love the tired parts of you, the hidden pieces, the places that gave and wondered, will anyone ever give back? He is. He does. He always will. You whisper, God, I've tried to love like you, but I need to be loved by you now. And his response is instant, surrounding, complete. You are mine. You are cherished. Rest now, you are held. So you breathe, deeply. And let that love sink into the places that forgot how to receive. You are not alone. You are not used up. You are not past tenderness. You are still God's beloved. Still his delight. Still the one he sings over in the night. Even now, even here. So rest. In full view. In full embrace. Let yourself be loved. And now, beloved, we slow down even more. Let the rhythm of your breath deepen. Let your thoughts lose their urgency. Let your heart lean back into the quiet safety of God's arms. You've carried enough. You've done enough. You've been enough. And this moment, this soft, sacred space is not asking anything from you. It's offering you something instead. Peace. Peace that doesn't depend on how loved you feel. Peace that doesn't disappear when tomorrow comes. Peace that rests on one truth: God is near. He is not in a rush with you. He is not watching the clock, waiting for your strength to return. He is simply here, lingering beside you as you finally exhale. So may you feel him close, not as a taskmaster, but as a friend. Not as a critic, but as a comforter. Let his love reach into every part of you that's been left empty, overlooked, or unseen. Let it soak into the soil of your soul, steady, deep, healing. And may you sleep tonight not as someone who is used, but as someone who is cherished. You are not forgotten. You are not too far gone. You are exactly where love can reach you. So close your eyes, let go, and rest in the arms of a God who still sees you and still loves you. End of script. Sweet dreams.